As we're talking about, emerging trends and opportunities for enhanced pedagogy, I'll request all of you, probably to give your opening remarks, of what you think is the current scenario. And then maybe, we can move ahead with the initiatives that you are taking in your respective institutes. So probably initial thoughts first. So if we can begin with, sir, from you, Kumar, Shekhar, Vijendra. Can we have another chair, please? Yeah, okay. So Professor Rajendra Prasad has joined us. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
When we talk about technology in education and the impact on pedagogy, the world is changing very fast. A word was used by the director, IIM Ahmedabad. Democratization of education is happening through technology. We all are trying in different ways. Many things have to be done. Journey is very large. And if we look at, the impact is very much visible on the country, and country needs it badly.
I'm sorry for the disruption. We're trying to reduce the noise. Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, and thanks for
Thank you, sir.
this program and inviting us. It's a digital era, so education cannot be left from the use of digital technologies. So we have deployed, because we are the new campus, so we have deployed the most advanced technology. The first technology which is required is the learning management systems has to be in place, LMS, and then student life cycle, enterprise resource planning from the administrations, and then inside the classroom, we have deployed 3 kinds of boards. One, of course, traditional whiteboards when you write with the normal marker pen. Second, of course, smart board, digital smart board. And third board, which is we call is a blended board, where you write with the normal marker pen in the normal whiteboard, but through technologies it converts that content, whatever faculty writes on the board, into PDF files on the spot, and is already available across all the students who is sitting inside or outside the class in their mobile as well as laptop. So no need to write anything in the class. Okay. So that's called blended board. And therefore, the focus in the class discussion, again we have changed the pedagogy. We do not teach the basic concepts, for which we have created LMS contents where students go through all the contents online before coming to the class and goes through online exams. Once they secure C+, then they enter the class. Okay. And then a project is assigned in the class by the industry or by faculty, and that needs to be discussed in the class, so that no need to talk any concept in the class. That's what the use of technology.
Right, sir. Professor Agarwal, yes.
Yeah, so I think one has to understand that when you talk about education quality, the top quality institutions are very few, and the other, the bulk education system is still to catch up. The top institutions are also gearing up to increase the number of students where we can make a bigger impact. If you talk about IITs, I think all IITs put together, we have about 10 to 15,000 intake every year. And that is certainly not enough for a country of our size. And therefore, it is important that we change our pedagogy. We use the best of the technology, develop the new technologies where our outreach, our footprint can increase. And it is also the imperative on the higher institutions of higher learning to help other institutes develop technology and use these technologies to increase and enhance the quality of education. And for that, in IIT Jodhpur, we have a Center for Education Technology and Technology for Education. And that center is actually looking at new pedagogies where the artificial, AR, VR, mixed reality, all these technologies can be really integrated into the classroom settings, and so that the effectiveness of the instruction and the teaching learning process can be enhanced. Thank you.
Right, ma'am.
Thanks, and thanks for organizing this World Education Summit and bringing us all together. I think great platform to learn from each other and share best practices. So the topic we are discussing today, I think we can look at it from 3 points of view. One, as even our earlier panel spoke a lot about, the importance of micro-credentials or the importance of upskilling and reskilling in technology for our students. You know, today we are in the 2020s, and I remember in 2000 we would talk about the world of 2020 and how it would look. And today we are already there and we are seeing the impact of it. So first is what we are teaching our students in current and emerging technologies. That is one aspect. Second is how we are using technology to enhance the teaching learning process, as Sir also just spoke. And what are we doing, and Dr. Jaiswal also mentioned. So in each of our institutions, what are we doing to use technology to enhance the teaching learning process, to make it more personalized, to make it more individual specific, and to cater to individual students' unique requirements. That's the second aspect. And the third aspect is how we are using technology to better manage and make efficient our own institutions, our campuses. Most of us who are here are from large residential campus institutions. So how we use technology for better managing our campuses. And in Sri Sri University, I think we have forays in all three aspects. And at a later stage, I can talk more. But these are the three areas. And I would like to end by saying that as much as we talk about artificial intelligence, I think important for us to as educators to continuously remind ourselves of the absolute intelligence which lies within us, and therefore, which is the genesis of all other intelligence. Sometimes I think life and evolution can overwhelm us and say, is it going faster than we can handle? And I think it is important for us to reassure ourselves and our students that all this is coming from this absolute intelligence, which is within us. So I'll talk a little bit about that also in the later part. So.
Thank you, madam. I'll just take it forward from a technological perspective. I've worked in technology in education for more than 20 years. What is changing is that we started where one size fits all. You created one for all. Now it is becoming a challenge that everybody learns in a different way. Everybody is in a different level when they start. So the role of AI, generative AI, or any technology we use in the future will build around how you can personalize learning to each individual's needs. Now, how you can do in short run. So what we are building, and with Professor Agarwal, we are building a set of very interesting online courses at IIT Jodhpur, where the idea is that you create curated content built by IITs, create a private large language model based on that, and then you create a model where the learning of individualized version happens, that you train your own bot based on how you learn and what you know. And that integration, as Dr. Agarwal's vision was to make technological education accessible for all, because only 10 or 15,000 people go in IITs. I think that's the second level of individualization which will come. If you can make it individualized at scale, at a very low cost, I think that's the real use of technology. Otherwise, it can be a nice value add to show, to sell a product, but not to learn a product.
Rightly said, right.
Thank you for inviting the World Education Summit. As all said about the pedagogy and the technology, if you see, as I'm basically from the SRM University, we are like giving the pedagogy like as well traditional method, the smart board method, again using the AI, again using the augmented reality and virtual reality, because it's the best way for the students. By that way they can access the knowledge, but still you have to focus on the skill. So instead of our traditional learning also, like with our traditional courses also, like BTech, MTech, integration, like MBA, all the courses, we are giving some value-added courses. Why each and every semester we are putting some value-added courses, minimum each and every semester 2 value-added courses, depend upon the industry requirement. Because what industry need now, day by day you have to update the technology. Again, For the faculty also, you are like we are putting all types of FDP program, depend of the technology only. Each and every semester minimum 2 FDP for all the faculty. It's a compulsory. Why? If they learn only, they can again give the knowledge, share the knowledge to the students. So in the higher education, that you have to focus also the skill mainly, what industry need, and you have to up to date. But nowadays, what happening? Some private university, I cannot say the mention name, they are taking n number of students. They have not the skill faculty. So if when there is not having the number of faculty, then how they will go for the proper teaching learning process, proper pedagogy? Again, how they'll give the importance for the real skill education? That's the now problem. That is a gap between the industry and academia. We have to fulfill also. So at least again, if you see nowadays what happening, except the computer science and then with some emerging technologies like AML, cloud computing, blockchain, etc. Other disciplines, you will say core engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering. Nowadays, students are not taking admissions. Why? Because the lagging of the technology, lagging of the implementation of AI, augmented reality, virtual reality, again the blockchain. If you apply the emergent technology in the core branch, at least what happen? It will attract the students. Again, they'll give the training to the also faculty for the core branch faculty, development of the emergent technology. That we have to fulfill at least.
Professor Mahapatra, you raised very, interesting insights. In fact, all of you, touched upon different aspects that are very integral to the current scenario. Like,
Yeah.
ma'am, you talked about the overwhelming pace of technology.
Right, madam.
You're talking about these, the need for skilling and technology to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So definitely, experiential pedagogy
Yeah.
is, what probably is required. So I'd like your thoughts, on industry partnerships, industry and internship programs.
Yeah.
How they can make learning, more applied and actually support this experiential pedagogy. If you can share thoughts, so Professor Kumar, if we can start with you.
When we look at industry academia, the main challenge over there is to understand the problem. Because with every industry, problems are unique. And what we try to do in universities, institutions, that we collaborate with industry, and on one problem, we try to develop the skill of the complete batch,
Right.
which again fails. So with technology, especially when we talk about AI, personalized learning, personalized skill sets, once we have collaborations with multiple industries, we become choosy on that. That
Right.
way, whosoever is willing to have a certain skill, that skill can be given. Professor Jaiswal was mentioning that like they do not teach basic; they use technology for that purpose. But if I look at my universities, definitely we have to teach basic also, because the students, those who are coming to institutions like Shobhit University, especially one of our university which is in a rural area, they are coming from a very diversified background. And here again, technology's role come when we say, okay, you are coming from a diversified background in hybrid mode, certain things will be available to you which you may not be able to understand in the classroom, because the pace of the class is same for everyone. If you are a slow learner, you can learn from there. And the same thing is with the industry also. Actually, with industry, in the morning somebody was telling that knowledge is having a shelf life. Actually, knowledge may not be having. Skills definitely are having a shelf life.
Very true.
And
Absolutely.
these skills need to be enhanced with the use of technology every time, and with every industry specifically, where all these technologies have to be implemented and they have to be made in hybrid mode, where the role of all these technologies and new pedagogy is coming in.
Right. Professor Jaiswal, your thoughts.
So we are in a management school, so our pedagogy, of course, we are extensively using the technology, not necessarily in the classroom. Classroom, definitely we have more intense discussion, and the methodology which we have deployed, we call it a flipped classroom. So as for the traditional teaching method, most of the conceptual teaching happens in the class and projects are assigned to each student in a group outside the class. And we do not have control what do they outside the class, whether they take help of Google or anything, and they only come with the reports and they present. There is no process of learning engaged intense with the teachers and industry and faculty. So what we have done is, we evaluated what is the learning outcome, because we are going for accreditation ACSB, American accreditations, that require assurance of learning. How do you assure the learning? What is the pedagogy? So what we found is, most of the traditional method of teaching is more on information exchange and a maximum to understanding of the subject.
Right.
When you ask them to apply, let's say, if MBA comes out and asks them, can you generate a balance sheet of a small company? And answer is very rare. So they are not well equipped to even apply. So what we decided, we will start in the class from the application, not in the understanding and information exchange.
Okay.
That we do using technology. So in the class, application is one, and then we say, can you also look for alternate methods, creativity, whether you are able to do some research in the class. So for that, we have signed MOUs with various companies and industries and societies. For example, it can be small and medium enterprise, can be hospitals, can be district administrations, all the problems of different subjects. And we have made it mandatory that in every course, at least 5 to 6 sessions has to be spent on this.
Right.
Rest of the session can be traditional. We don't want to disrupt. 6 sessions has to be sponsored by the industry, where the unsolved problems are given to students. And students and faculty will have to solve, if it's industrial relations, the HR problems, it's a financial measurement in the finance course, it's a market creations in a digital space is another product. So those things are brought as a project in the class, which is given by the industry, and teachers provide the methods how to solve that, and students provide the solutions, and that evaluation is done by the industry itself.
Right.
So that is the kind of engagement we started in the experiment, which called the flipped classroom.
Right, sir. Professor Agarwal.
Yeah. I think if you look at all the undergraduate programs across the country in engineering and technology, less than 2 to 10% knowledge gained in these programs is actually used when the student goes into the industry. But it is important that in spite of this, it is important that remaining 95, 98% information is given in an effective manner, because that teaches them basically the fundamentals, it broadens them.
Right.
And it actually gives them the confidence as to how to look at a new problem about which they don't know anything.
Right.
And that's where the exposure to industry becomes extremely important. And that's why in most of the engineering colleges, it is mandatory that you send them to internship and have some experiential learning. In times to come, if the engineering has to serve the nation in wealth creation, it is important that our graduates have better industry exposure, better industry connect, and they are solving the problems that the industry is facing today. And therefore, it is important that there should be organized internships with a certain deliverables. And not only that, I think the students should be exposed to industry problems while they are in the university.
Absolutely.
In order to do that, I was the founder director of the research park at IIT Kanpur. And we did this experiment, which was quite successful, that we asked the industry to give their industry problems. And these problems are generally not very high tech in terms of nature, and they can be handled by the students themselves. And this really worked well, because the students could learn the real life problems, and they were very excited to get whatever little money they got from the industry, and industry was happy that they could get solution from the students. And this really worked well, because these students were their potential employee in future as well.
Right.
So it worked both ways, and for benefit of both parties. So I think we have to think out of box and work on our teaching pedagogy, make the industry exposure more relevant using technology. For example, if you have to teach how a pendulum works, the teacher can only can only give exposure to that by writing on board, but the feeling will not be there. But the technologies such as AR, VR, if they are using, the student will immediately understand the concept well. And similarly, many of these concepts which are required by the industry can also be given even in academic environment. And therefore, the technology needs to be developed. Some of the technologies are already available, but many more technology and innovations in this space are required to be done. Thank you.
Right. Ma'am, over to you.
Yeah, you brought up a very important point of industry academia partnership, and you like to call it ownership, because that often when we are in discussions, industry partners say to us that you are not giving us students who have the skills what we need, and we have to spend time and money to upskill them to what we need. So what we have done in Shri Shri University in the past 3 years is, and also the NEP came at the right time for us to be able to do this. We have launched a number of programs, especially in the technology space, with technology partners. So we have a program on artificial intelligence with IBM. This is a program co-created by IBM and us, co-delivered by us, and also, like Sir was saying, students get apprenticeship, internship opportunities in these institutions. We recently launched a program in partnership with Intel. We have a cybersecurity program in partnership with TCS. So the idea is that right from day one, as Sir rightly said, we are teaching them 100%. How much of that they can go and apply. So the effort is that can we increase that percentage, so that more and more we teach students what they need to know as they get out, graduate from the campus. So that is showing very good results for us. It's showing very promising, and we are very happy to see the involvement and the ownership from the industry partners, because unless that is there, we cannot put the responsibility on one table. So this
Right.
is one thing we have done, which is showing very good results. Recently, we signed an MOU with NSDC and an AI company to do apprenticeship-based programs. So that is a more involved version of the first example I gave, and we are starting that now. So let us see how that works out. But again, the effort is, and that is, we are all education leaders here, and we all discuss it at various forums. And our concern remains the same, that how do we do more and more to prepare our students better and better to enter their workplaces or start their enterprises. So this has worked well for us. And as Dr. Jaiswal was saying, again, whatever other programs we are teaching, whether it is management, whether it is agriculture, architecture, we are a multidisciplinary university. Even in our agriculture programs, we are now using technology to help teach, like Sir said about AR, VR. When you're in an augmented reality space, the concept becomes even more clearer,
Right.
especially in medical training also. You're teaching anatomy, and you can either draw it or show it on a PPT or maybe show a model. But if you can do a multi-sensory experience for a student, then that retention and understanding is better. So that also we are doing in Ayurveda. We have an Ayurveda college. So for all of us, these are opportunities to really experiment, because the NEP is now allowing us so many possibilities of partnerships and so many possibilities of doing even multi-university collaboration. So I think that is what we all need to experiment and leverage to the best.
Right. Mr. Gupta, I'll come to you towards the end because you will give the other perspective. I'll come to, Professor Jaiswal first. I'm sorry, Professor Mahapatra. My apologies.
Thank you,
Yeah.
madam. Really, the learning should be what you're following in SRM, the project-based learning.
Yes.
In example, BTech is 4 years. The last year, the 7th semester and 8th semester, the first 7th semester is the mini project, 8th semester should be major project. Again, each and every year from first year to 4th year, after ending of the first year, you should keep one intensive compulsory for the students. Not only second or third year. We are keeping after end of the first year one internship, again end of the second year one, end of the third year one. Then after 3 years, they are very good, like have their work in the industry, like they solve the problem in the industry. So they are more capable for the project in the 4th year. Next point, if you see the internship and the project, if they are good, then when they will work in the industry, they are also fit also. So the again in the B Tech example, I'm telling you, there's a 160 credit. I'm telling you, then each and every subject should be the laboratory. Each and every theory has some laboratory. So what happens? Some universities are doing, if it's a 8 subject one semester, only 3 or 4 have the lab, other are only theory. No, each and every theory has some lab. Then only the student can understand what he or she read the subject and he will catch. So that's the main thing only. When again, what you are doing in SRM, from semester 1 itself, you are giving the courses like for the career development purpose, the quant, the soft skill, personal skill development, all things from semester 1 to up to semester 6. By that way, 3 year, he or she is most capable of to get the job in the 4th year beginning.
Right.
The learning, one is project-based learning, one is intensive. The third is the career also, how to build the career from semester 1 beginning to up to 3rd year end.
Right, sir. Mr. Gupta, the perspective from the other side.
Sure. So one thing I think from the industry side, if I talk, industry never cooperates in terms of giving actual problems. I'll be very honest. Okay. So what happens is you get a very simple version of a theoretical problem to solve. So how you can crack it, which we did at Future and we are doing at IIT Jodhpur, working in multiple courses. All businesses launch RFPs, which are business problems. RFPs are public documents which they give it to multiple companies that we want you to solve this problem as a project or whatever. RFPs are actual business problems.
Right.
And if we can use them, which we use at IIT Jodhpur, there's a very different way you can solve problems from the industry side, because otherwise it is a whitewash which happens in majority of the cases. Because they have created, okay, we have to collaborate, so let's give this. It's a very simplified version. But business problems, all these business, take tenders out. You will find thousands of business problems. And they are actual problems. They are asking somebody to solve it for you. And they are multidisciplinary. They could be. So if you go from that perspective in mind, which we are doing under Professor Agarwal with our MTech programs, it's absolutely amazing that even in online, the quality of education and student satisfaction is equal to an in-class structure, maybe slightly less, but equal to an in-class structure because the way they learn is very different. So I think one way to look at it, you will not get that from the industry. They will say IP problem. We can't show you. The truth is they're themselves launching it in the public domain as RFPs. So I think that's the way to go after. If you go with that, you will see a huge change in the way students do. Second problem is projects. They are always made once and copied always. So you have to change that. I'll be very honest and say, you have to change it because otherwise it is just copied and it's just. So what we did is, if you can create projects where there are multiple data points and you change your data point for each group, it becomes much better learning than just the same project for everyone. So I think this is the way to actually look at, and I think that's something. Yeah, Dr. Agarwal, please.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting point, and I would just like to share one pedagogical experiment that we are doing right now. It's a joint master's program between IIT Jodhpur and AIIMS Jodhpur. And I would like to just share, it's a new pedagogy that we have created. So we give admission to select number of students. Half of them are engineers, half of them are doctors. The faculty from IIT Jodhpur and AIIMS Jodhpur participate in it. So we make group of 1 engineer and 1 doctor.
Interesting.
Advised by 1 engineering professor from IIT Jodhpur and 1 professor from medical in AIIMS Jodhpur. And then this team has immersive experience, which means that the students will have immersion in IIT Jodhpur, doctors will have immersion in IIT Jodhpur learning engineering, and our engineering student go to medical and go to OPD, go to the theater, pick up one problem after brainstorming to solve, and they solve that problem, form patent, and then based on that, they create a incubated company. And as a result, I'm very happy to report, although the numbers are to be scaled up because it's just an experiment, I think 8 or 10 very successful startups have been initiated.
Great.
So
Great
this is
initiative.
just one new pedagogical experiment at IIT Jodhpur.
Wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful. So before I move ahead, any questions from the audience? Okay, can we have the mic? Oh, there's a lot of interest here. Divyangi, can we have the mics here, please? No, I think it'll be good if you speak in the mic. Thank you. If you can introduce yourself,
Yeah,
please.
I'm Professor Gaurav Sood. I'm an author, basically. So my question is, technology 5.0, industry 5.0, and education 5.0, right? There's a lot of gap between them. You are, how you are bringing technology, how you're collaborating with industry and other, disciplines, right? I really enjoyed it. But in most of the cases, cosmetic, as you mentioned, right? Copied, right? So I just want to understand what are the gaps which are there, right from resource to student orientation, because there are a lot of things I feel in management. The skills which are required, as you said, 2 to 8 per 10% is what is, what they learn in, 4 years in your case, and maybe 2 years in your case, and they implement in the industry. But then that 95-98%, which at least 30-40% they need to learn it from outside, which could be a Power BI, Tableau, right? These kind of skill set which are required for management students especially. So what are the gaps basically? And how do you think, there'll be management issues, which are resources, how you deploy them. There'll be administering issue, which is like training of faculty and all. There could be student orientation. They are not interested. Their participation is very minimum. And as you said, RFPs, request for proposals, which is a very good thing to do. But are your students ready to, have they been trained to that level, or there are only 4-5 selective students who are going to participate and crack it? So gaps basically, and how, what, each and every, all your universities, how you're trying to counter it, or.
Yeah, I think, let me just make it clear. I did not make this point that remaining 90% is useless. That's also equally important, because
there's a gap.
No, I think the training is important, and what we should do is we should train the students in basics of the subject. If you are a mechanical engineer, you have to learn all the basic subjects. It's very important. Although the student will now be working in a very narrow area, say some manufacturing industry, so he will obviously not be learning the concepts of thermal engineering, for example. So the actual use of the knowledge will be only 2%, but you don't know that when you are studying. So it is important that you focus on 100%. But my point was that when you use actual, it will be very limited. And I think in your question, you have asked a question, but all the answers are given by you. So whatever you are saying, exciting the students about.
No, I say there, there is an intent, there is a national education policy which is forcing you to implement in certain way, standardizing education, which when you have studied wasn't there. So fundamentally, you people are more stronger than the current generation which is there. Look, I also teach, I know exactly where I'm coming from, right? So, so gaps are there, but how do you plan to fulfill? I mean, which one do you think? I mean, if you have to rank the 5 gaps from resource, intent, to student orientation, to actual success of that particular program or integration of that program? I mean, how do you?
Mr. Sood. Actually, when we talk about the gaps, there are gaps because inspiration and aspirations are different. We are a country of 1.5 billion people around. We aspire to have a gross enrollment ratio to 50%. When we sit in Delhi, when we talk about technology, integration of technology, pedagogies, and all those things, they are different when we talk the same in a village, because that has to be understood. What we are talking, that what may be the best practices and what best practices we all are having, we are trying to fill that gap. But actually, one good practice cannot be the best practice at a different place. What is the challenge actually, which is the gap? That some of our best institutions are island of excellence. Okay. We have to ensure that all our good institutions are connected with the mainland properly. I'm sure that my fellow colleagues will not mind it, but I have seen one of the leading IIM. When I go inside, it is a different world outside. But when I visited the same IIM after 10 years, the same poverty was there outside, on the same road, in the same area. It means the impact of the people, those who are inside the campus, is not visible in the society, in the neighborhood. This is the gap what we all have to fulfill. So this platform is to discuss the best practices. We have to adopt out of that, and we have to see that how we can use technology, education, new pedagogies, so that we can bring that change all together. I think I was able to
Yes.
address some of your
Thank you.
concerns.
Sir,
Thank you.
taking
Yes.
on that, sir.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, sir. I am Dr. Ajanak, Pro Vice Chancellor of Centurion University from Odisha. So, sir, as Gupta ji also said, in largely whatever the discussion we had in the first session and now also going on, all these things applies to the elite institution. Here also we are all the assemblies of elite institutions. But to pick up the tier 2, tier 3 institutions in the rural areas, as sir said, they are largely their industry never reaches them. Whenever some industry comes, only when they need of some land or some mine, something like they do it in a big fanfare and reach out to schools and colleges in rural areas. That's for 6 months, 1 year. Thereafter, they usually vanish. So, in that context, what type of pedagogy, sir, would you suggest for those tier 2 or tier 3 institutions to make them industry ready, to make their students industry ready, sir?
I think I would just like to say that one of the major ways of improving this or maybe taking the best technology into the bottom layer, and one of the best ways to do this is having the education in native languages. Okay, this is something that we are missing, because what happens is in India, most of the time we are trying to give education in English only, and the Indian population is only 10 crore people understand English. 130 crore people do not understand. So therefore, this initiative of Government of India, where technical education and professional education is also be given in native Indian languages, 22 of them, will make a lot of difference. And this should be done in elite institutions as well as tier 2 and tier 3 institutions. And this is one of the most effective ways of giving quality education to India. And I'm very happy to share that IIT Jodhpur has become the first IIT in the country to start the first year education in Hindi language
Commendable.
from this
Round
year.
of applause.
First, because we want this to go down to NITs, to other institutions, and this will help remaining 130 crore people of India to get educated who are left out from this race of development. So once you break free from teaching learning process and your skills in English, you will see that the results will be amazing, because the innate learning ability of a person is best in the mother tongue. If you look at any developed economy in the world worth a salt, every economy except India is giving technical education, professional education in their mother tongue. So why should we not follow this? English is not the mother tongue for most of the country. I think we have to think out of box here.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Actually, I would like to add to what Sir said, that, you know, what you said, Dr. Naik, it is a very important point, but normally we discuss this from the point of view of what are we doing for, say, institutions who need help. I always urge that all of us should also seek help. Today, I think we are in a very collaborative space in the education landscape in our country, and I think Elets kind of platforms are very great places where we should actively seek help, seek mentorship. Nothing stops me from going to IIT Jodhpur and to tell Sir that, Sir, these two programs, can you guide us? And I have no doubt that he will not say yes. So I think it works both ways. And I think today we are in India in a space and environment where it is a very open environment, very collaborative space. And I think everybody should make the best use of that.
I have slightly different view on this, the medium of education. I can talk more from the management educations, because at IIMs, it is not possible that to our graduates, we provide in Hindi or any regional language, because their employability is based on the spoken language, and which preferably is English, because most of the jobs are getting in the multinationals or those companies. And India has got advantage because of English speaking. However, in order to take care of the large section of society, how do you provide business education or other professional education into their native language? What we have done, there is a very important aspect that is called societal impact. So today in the international accreditations, ACSB also has come out with Standard 9, where it has been made mandatory that every elite institution which are going for international accreditation has to have a societal impact. And in order to take care of that, what we have done is, let's say in our region, this textile is very famous. Textile industry is very famous. About 40 to 60,000 families do this profession in the small village. And in the digital age, they are not having access to the digital market. So what we brought is, we started a 12 weekends, 12 week, and every Saturday, Sunday, we bring the master weavers, women from all the nearby districts and provide them all the functional knowledge like marketing, finance, taxations, invoicing in Odia language. Okay. The same MBA what we teach to our MBA, we have converted into their native language, and we have created a textbook on that, 12 weeks module. And we started doing on our own cost initially. The moment SIDBI came to know, then SIDBI now has given a full funding for this. We are getting the same program fee what we charge to any MNCs. So faculty members are getting the same money, means 40,000 to 50,000 per day they are charging per faculty classes. And we created about a series of programs. And then we signed MOU with Flipkart and ONDC to put their product into digital market platform. And in order to do that, again, we have to create a market. So we incubated a company which does create a market in up market like Delhi, Paris, etc. So we signed MOU with University of Paris that how this product can reach there. And in the last 6 months, we did a study in the impact of the first batch of this 100% due to digital market. And the product also is different. Earlier they were selling sarees which are very expensive. Now they started selling, due to product diversification, stalls for the fashion industries. So this is the way. Now we are, again, next week we are starting the second batch. So that way, in a year we are creating 4 to 5 batches. We are doing only 1 batch of MBA, but 4 batches of this kind of MBAs. So these are the ways to, and those are in the local languages. So those are the ways where you can reach large section at the same time without disturbing your existing programs.
So I'll just add
sure.
just one line. So Professor Agarwal is very humble. So he talked about Hindi, but what we are doing with them, we are launching a BSc in Applied AI and Data Science. It is structured in English in phase 1, but which is there. But simultaneously, the live teaching is in 4 languages, which is a combination of English, Kannada English, Telugu English. And the idea is that you can learn from the English one, phase 1, which is a video, but this can be added as a dual degree to any college which wants to put a 3-year or 4-year program. So it's a 3-year BSc in Applied AI and Data Science, but a 4-year BS in Applied AI and Data. So the idea of using the native language, which is really helpful, but combining that with English, as Sir said, that we need the combination of both. So he's doing already that. We are launching very, very soon.
Congratulations. Yeah, sure, sir, sure.
So just to address this point of employability, we have addressed that. And so we are not, this program is not anti-English. So English skills are improved. And by the time the student graduate, he has good skills, as good as anybody else. There will be no differentiation. So there is no question of anybody having lesser employability. Just
I just have time for one more question. I'm really sorry.
Hello.
Okay, we have 3 here. Okay.
Can I ask?
I'll take 2 more. I'm really sorry. I'm out of time. Yes, Professor Chaudhary, we'll begin with you. And yes, the lady there probably, yes.
Yeah. Perhaps in this room there are more yeah.
Just after Sir is done. Yeah.
So I know there was a discussion point about industry and academia, and I think this is an important point. Maybe there are not enough people from industry in this room. So I will utilize my 21 years in industry to ask this question, right? Before I move to academia. It is easy always to say that industry does not give real world problems to academia to solve. But we should also reflect and have this question. Assume they give. Does academia have it in them to solve those real world problems? And what should we do that? Right? One of the biggest thing that while I was in industry, I had more than 10 MOUs or agreements or projects with different IITs and IIC and so on. And when I'm in academia, I did more than double of that. So this question I really want to ask, what academia can do and how far academia can go in terms of making sure that the problem industry is giving is actually solved to the extent where it can be used as a solution in the industry. So that is a problem I want to actually bring.
One quick and crisp response, sir. Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's a very relevant question. So I'll just give you in a very simple way. Industry needs a solution in TRL 7 to 9. And when a PhD student in any IIT submits a thesis, he is somewhere between TRL 1 and 3. And there is a complete gap and disconnect, and that's where you are coming from. 4 to 6 is what is missing. And now to address that, most of the IITs are now starting what you call as research park, where the professor gives the fundamental knowledge, the industry takes it, industry person also comes in, and then this problem is co-developed and taken from TRL 3 to 6, and then from there it is taken up by the industry. This is the only way. I mean, completely you can't solve.
Right,
You are
right.
right.
Okay, gentlemen, one last question. I'm really sorry. I have, the day to. Okay, Divyangi, one last. Yeah. I'm sending the mic to you. Yeah. Quick and concise, please. Yes.
So I come from the industry and I did mechanical engineering. So in 4 years of mechanical engineering, what we did was we used to read the subject on the last day of the exam, right? Read it, go and give the exam, forget about it. So in 4 years, what I picked up was how to handle ambiguity and how to do some critical thinking, analytical thinking. Subject knowledge was very broad, right? So one is that. Second is when I go to a lot of startup pages, I realize that the people have very brilliant ideas, but they are not able to communicate well. So what is the education system doing in terms of teaching these critical skills, critical thinking, handling ambiguity, and soft skills, which are now called power skills in terms of communicating well, teamwork, which are becoming very important now.
So this is very important for particularly management student. Like we have a course. We say don't manage time, manage your energy. And how do you manage your energy? There are 4 streams of energy for a human body. The first is physical fitness. You need to understand what to eat and how to spend time. So that is about sports and your physical activity, so that you don't need to go to doctors, etc. Second is you need to manage your mind, intellectual, that is your IQ. And in order to enhance your IQ, of course, through exams we have come because your CAT exams are high and that's why you got admission. But various business functions and other analytical skills, mathematical skills you have to learn and enhance so that you should be intelligent enough to analyze any problem. That is the second energy. Third aspect, what you're talking about, the software skill, we call it the emotional quotient. How do you manage yourself in various different situations when you get a job due to high IQ, but you cannot continue in job without high EQ, because you have to manage team, you have to manage group, you have to manage boss, you have to manage yourself. And that part we teach through various extracurricular activities. We have a high diversity students coming from all the states. You have to learn how to talk to different state students, cross-cultural communications, your body language, your communication skill, your social skills, which becomes 90% more important than your IQ. Because IQ level is same for all. Okay, UQ will help you to raise your ladder and manage the large team. And the fourth aspect, that is called value quotient. What is the value system of your personality? What do you focus on? For example, at our institute, we say that you should have 3I is the value: innovation, integrity, and inclusiveness. You should be always thinking innovative, out of the box, creativity, and you should be having very high ethical standards. and you should be very inclusive. You should be able to work with any diverse group. So these are the 4 streams of energy you need to enhance yourself. And that is the personality we teach at our school in different ways, not only in the class, but outside the class as well.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, great. I'm so sorry, but I'll have to wrap this discussion here. Thank you, panelists. It was wonderful having you with us, and I love the audience participation. So thank you, audience, for sharing those wonderful questions, and I'm sure everybody benefited from it. So thank you so much.